The NBA must be blessing us with something different this trade deadline because on back-to-back days, two superstar level point guards get traded to big franchises. The Luka Doncic trade kind of came out of nowhere. Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison, the GMs of the Lakers and the Mavericks, really kept it under wraps for a lot of the discussion. Like we had no idea that any Luka Doncic Anthony Davis trade was matriculating. And yeah, just randomly Saturday night, 12:30 a.m., Luka Doncic traded to the Lakers. We made a video about that. It's gonna pop up somewhere on the top right during this video. But unlike the Luka Doncic trade, we knew that De'Aaron Fox could potentially get moved from Sacramento. About 2 months ago, there was word from his agent, Rich Paul, and De'Aaron Fox himself that he wanted to be in a winning situation. They felt that the Sacramento Kings weren't currently bringing that, so he could potentially seek a trade. A couple months later, it was announced that his preferred destination was San Antonio, so kind of all got put together. The Spurs had the package to get De'Aaron Fox, even though I don't think they gave their best package, and still, De'Aaron Fox ends up on the San Antonio Spurs. I'll talk about the fit and stuff in a little bit, but De'Aaron Fox was not the only big name to be moved in this trade. Zach Lavine was also moved to the Sacramento Kings in a three-teamer where Fox went to the Spurs, Lavine ended up going to the Sacramento Kings, and the Chicago Bulls ended up getting Ray Jones, Zach Collins, and their own 2025 pick back from San Antonio. Now, for me, and I'm assuming a lot of other NBA fans, most of us wanted to see Zach Lavine end up in a winning situation. The case for the Sacramento Kings is right now, this is not going to be a team that competes for a championship, especially after losing potentially your greatest, I guess there's a couple guys there, but one of your greatest players in franchise history in De'Aaron Fox, the core of DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, Domantas Sabonis, and Zach Lavine isn't going to win you a championship. So I wish I would we got to see Zach Lavine go into a situation where maybe they're not as great as a team, the Golden State Warriors, but you do have that central piece in Steph Curry, or even a team like the Pistons who are up and coming. But a team that kind of feels like they're stuck in purgatory with around 30-year-old players right now in the Sacramento Kings. It's just not a great fit. And I would not be surprised if Zach Lavine ended up moving to his next team within the next couple of years. And I wanted to show you guys something real quick. If you see my scheduled video right here, I had a De'Aaron Fox trade video. I was going to be talking about the potential suitors for him, where I think he could go, just talking about the whole situation. Originally, I titled the video "How the De'Aaron Fox trade can break the NBA." I had to change the title. It's now how I predicted the De'Aaron Fox trade, and it's definitely a bit outdated. I'm still going to post it because I think I made a lot of valid points about his fits with the Rockets, Magic, Lakers, Miami Heat. I mean, even with the Spurs as well. But yeah, that video's going to stay posted. Just wish that the Fox trade happened maybe on Wednesday instead of yesterday. But starting with the San Antonio Spurs, they gave up Trey Jones, who is a solid backup point guard, by the way. He should get some minutes with the Chicago Bulls. Zach Collins, who at this point was not in the rotation anymore. Same thing with Shidi Sissoko. Then a 2025 lottery protected Hornets pick. That team is bad. That pick will not convey. Their 2027 unprotected pick. The Bulls pick that they had this year, they gave that back to Chicago. And then a 2031 Minnesota Timberwolves pick, which is the one they got from the Rob Dillingham trade. So that's one replaceable point guard, two players not in the rotation, and two really low value first round picks to get De'Aaron Fox. They won this trade. In my opinion, I thought it would be more smart for the San Antonio Spurs to wait till potentially this offseason or maybe even next trade deadline to match up Wemby with the superstar. But they did it this trade deadline. Honestly, I don't really care. I think it's a great trade. They made the move when it had to happen. They barely gave up anything, and now the Spurs team can really start contending in the Western Conference. The fact I did not have to get off of Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Shohan was absolutely insane to me. You're telling me the Kings didn't want one of those guys, or they couldn't end up with one of those guys? Like, that's crazy. With getting De'Aaron Fox, the Spurs are adding a lot more rim pressure to this team. You had a guy in Keldon Johnson who did a pretty solid job at attacking the rim. Same thing with Stephon Castle. But De'Aaron Fox does it at such a high volume, such a high value, that it's just going to be perfect for Wemby to stretch that floor and De'Aaron Fox to just pick teams apart. The one, I guess, slight downside for this trade, I guess there's technically two. One of them is that De'Aaron Fox is a free agent in two off seasons, and he was going to sign to you guys most likely anyway. So the fact that you had to give up any value might have been slightly questionable, but I want De'Aaron Fox right now. I'm not waiting 2 years for De'Aaron Fox. The other thing is we're kind of setting up Stephon Castle to be this team's long-term point guard. But yeah, getting De'Aaron Fox means that he's going to be this team's long-term shooting guard, which kind of goes against what he was saying pre-draft about how he wanted to be a point guard in the NBA. But I think he's more than happy to set that aside if this team is going to be able to win some championships in the future. Overall, this is an A-plus trade from the San Antonio Spurs. You barely gave up any value for one of the top young point guards in the NBA. I mean, I'm so excited to see what this De'Aaron Fox, Victor Wembanyama pick and roll is going to look like. Pick and pop. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a tough team for the future. The next team I want to talk about is the Sacramento Kings. They ended up getting Zach Lavine in this trade. They also got a 2025 lottery protected pick from the Hornets. Like I said before, will not convey. They will not get the Hornets first round pick this year. They got a 2027 Spurs pick in which De'Aaron Fox, Wemby, Stephon Castle, maybe even Devin Vassell will all still be on the team at that time. Then they got a 2031 first round pick from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Assuming Anthony Edwards is still there, I don't think that pick's going to be that good as well. So basically, you made the swap. You got Zach Lavine. You got CD Sissoko. And then you got two really low value first round picks. I just don't know about that one for the Sacramento Kings. Like I said before, I think this Kings team is not going to be amazing. They don't really have a true point guard right now. They said it's going to be Malik Monk. We'll see how that ends up. I would not be surprised if in this offseason or potentially at next year's trade deadline, we see this Kings team make some more moves. They have some or a couple pretty solid young talents on their team right now, and guys like Devin Carter, Keon Ellis, and even Keegan Murray, where I think we can see them kind of hit a similar situation to where the New Orleans Pelicans are right now. They have a couple of veteran players right now in Brandon Ingram. I guess we can say Zion Williamson, but DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum, all veteran guys who are really good NBA players. But then we have a second tier of guys, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Jordan Hawkins, Yves Missi, who are really ready to break out onto that scene and be the next core for the team. If the Kings can find that next iteration of talent, I think they could be put in a pretty solid situation. But for right now, a Devin Carter, Keegan Murray, a Keon Ellis is really not going to do it for me just yet. I don't absolutely hate this trade for the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, we wish you could have got Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, or Jeremy Shohan, but I guess they still want to compete. They got Zach Lavine, so they won't lose the rest of the games this season. And that's the most I could say. Man, not a good trade. And finally, we got the Chicago Bulls side of things, where I am a little most disappointed for them. They ended up getting Trey Jones, Zach Collins, Kevin Herter, and their own first round pick back from the San Antonio Spurs. They couldn't even get an additional first round pick. They had to get their own first round pick back. I'm gonna remind you guys of something. The San Antonio Spurs have an unprotected Atlanta Hawks pick this year. The Atlanta Hawks just lost Jalen Johnson for the season. You're telling me the Kings or the Bulls couldn't get that first round pick in this deal? Absolutely fleece job by the Spurs here. But the Bulls, they got rid of the Zach Lavine contract. I think that was the most important thing for them. I wish they got an additional first round pick. But yeah, gotta take on the Zach Collins contract, gotta take on the Kevin Herter contract, and we'll see what happens from there. I expect Vucevic to get moved soon. If he doesn't, not the end of the day, because you were able to get off the Zach Lavine contract. Man, though, the Kings and the Bulls got fleeced by the San Antonio Spurs. But tell me what you think about the trade in the comment section below. I think there are a lot of moving pieces, and I think we could see a lot of following trades come in the next couple of days. How do you like the Zach Lavine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis fit? Do you think it'll work? Do you think Malik Monk can be the true point guard for the Sacramento Kings team? And then for the San Antonio Spurs, Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, what is their ceiling? Can this be a team that wins a championship in the next couple of years? And then finally for the Bulls, how do you mess this up 2 years in a row? You couldn't get an additional first round pick for one of the best players in the league in Zach Lavine, who's having an amazing year this season. It's tough though. But hope you guys enjoy this video and see you guys next time. Peace.